and Iran is fighting us on a 7-front war. Obviously Hamas, Hezbollah, Houthis, the militias in Iraq and Syria, Judea, Samaria, West Bank, Iran itself. They'd like to topple Jordan, and their goal is to have a combined ground offensive from various fronts, coupled with a combined missile bombardment. We have to, we've been given the opportunity to scuttle it, and we will. The first requirement is to cut that hand, Hamas. People who do this thing to us are not going to be there. And we'll have a long battle. I don't think it's that long, but we'll get rid of them. We also have to deter the other elements of the Iran terror axis. But we have to deal with the axis. The axis doesn't threaten only us. It threatens you. It's on the march to conquer the Middle East. Conquer the Middle East. Conquer. That means actually conquer. Conquer Saudi Arabia, conquer the Arabian Peninsula. It's just a question of time. And what's standing in their way is the small Satan, that's us, on the road to the middle-sized Satans, that's the Europeans. They're always offended when I tell them that. You're the great Satan, not them. Okay, and we have to stop them.
I don't know what to make of that, Colonel. What do you think?
He's beginning to sound like Ahab in Moby Dick. He's on a doomed whale hunt. He's beginning to see enemies everywhere.
Right.
Doesn't seem to understand that he's precipitated the emergence of this coalition against him. It's his actions as the Israeli offensive that's being launched in against Hamas. Now the very high probability that they will attack Hezbollah that is convincing everyone in the region to turn against him. The Saudis, like the other ruling elites in the Arab world right now, are very concerned about being removed by their own people because the populations are enraged. This is certainly true in Jordan. I think King Abdullah is hanging on by his fingernails. He's got millions of Palestinians in his country that are appalled at what's being done to their fellow Palestinians on the other side of the Jordan River. You've got General Sisi, who is apoplectic. We have been bribing him, willing to forgive his $180 billion debt, national sovereign debt, in return for taking in the Palestinian Arabs that are being driven out of Gaza. He's incapable of doing it. He understands that if he does that, he's going to be seen as a traitor to his own people. And that's a pretty good description of the way many Egyptians feel about him at this point. Everything is coming apart in the region. And as you point out, he's blaming it on everything and everybody but himself and the actions of his own country. And it's very interesting when he attributes this desire by the Iranians to conquer the region. It's entertaining to listen to his description as, once again, the permanent victim. And that's something that he keeps insisting is the case, that he and Israel together are permanent victims. But right now, the rest of the region and the rest of the Islamic world sees them as the offending force. They see their own people being murdered and turned into victims. They don't agree with the Israeli assessment. And we are standing behind Israel, continuing to provide unconditional support for whatever Mr. Netanyahu wants to do. And unfortunately, at this point, it seems to be a willingness to destroy the entire region.